I've worked subway security for 23 years, New York City, and I'm begging you, stop ignoring the smell. If you're listening to this on the train right now, do me a favor. Put your phone down for a second, look around, and smell. If you catch a whiff of something like a wet, rotting rag from a flooded basement, listen very carefully. My coworkers, my friends, my own kids, nobody believes me. Especially my youngest daughter. She's convinced I'm just a grumpy old man who lost his mind somewhere between the A and C lines. She jokes about early dementia, tells me to see a shrink or check into a retirement home. But I'm barely past 50, and my gut? My gut has never failed me in 23 years underground. Right now, it's screaming. That's why I'm writing this before I leave the city for good. My job is to warn you. What you do with this information is up to you. You've seen this new subculture, or whatever they're calling it, this trend that's been spreading through the city like a rash. Look closer. I mean, really look at these kids. I stand at the turnstiles every day. I watch the same tired faces pour through. My job is to make sure nobody jumps the barrier or brings in something they shouldn't. It was supposed to be a temporary gig, just to get through a rough patch. That was 23 years ago. We rotate. An hour at the gates, then you're in the back room going half blind staring at 30 camera feeds, then patrol, walking the platform until your feet feel like they've been run over by a train. By the time I drag myself home, I've got a ritual. Ice water bucket for my feet the second I walk in the door. Without it, I can't get up the next morning. But forget my complaining. The pay's decent. Not gold toilet money, but enough to survive this city. Used to take my wife on a real vacation every year. She would have believed me. She always listened. I still carry her old Polaroid in my uniform pocket. Nancy's been gone a long time now, but I know she's watching over me. The thing about working underground this long, you start noticing things other people miss. Sounds, smells. I've learned to love that cocktail of creosote, ozone, hot metal, and human soup, cigarettes, sweat, cheap cologne, fast food. I barely notice it anymore. And people. I read people. Predators? I spot them from 100 feet away. They try to blend in, but their eyes are always working, scanning bags, pockets, checking how tight someone's grip is on their phone. Office workers are easy too. Slouched, hollow-eyed, same dull clothes every day. Their bosses wear better shoes and look through me like I'm furniture. I like watching the young ones most. The trends change. God, I've seen dozens of them cycle through. But something stays constant. They want to rebel. They want to be different. They think in 20 years they won't be standing here with a bad back and destroyed feet. God bless them. The point is, I have watched crowds for 23 years. I notice things, even small things. Then, about 3 weeks ago, one kid caught my attention. He was walking alone. I clocked him immediately, mostly because of what he was wearing. He was alternative looking, we get plenty of those, but this guy looked like he'd lost a fight with a dumpster over his hoodie. Filthy, stained, whatever color it used to be was long gone. Gray maybe. Hood pulled up, greasy, matted hair hanging out from under it, hands buried deep in his pockets. My first read, junkie. His eyes were completely black, one of those trendy scleral lenses, covers the whole eyeball. Skin pale as a corpse, face covered in little bumps that looked like subdermal piercings. I'd given my youngest hell for wearing something similar back in the day. Thank God she grew out of that phase. I flagged him mentally but didn't stop him. You stop every weirdo in this city, you're fired by lunch. As he approached the turnstile, I drifted closer, casual, like I was doing a routine walk. No bag, no nervous energy, none of the tells I look for in the suspicious ones. He was calm. Too calm. When he passed by, I inhaled. No chemical smell, no sweat, no alcohol, no weed. Basement. Like the cellar of my old cabin upstate. Damp, mold, and underneath that, dead rat. Something rotting under floorboards. Pure decay with notes of spoiled food and garbage. And when he walked past, every single hair on the back of my neck stood up. I have no idea why. Rationally, nothing happened. He passed through, got on a train, rode to his stop, got off. Normal. No incident. I probably would have forgotten about him if he'd been the only one. The second one? I remember her like this was this morning. Next day, early shift, she was wearing a strict business blazer that made absolutely no sense with the rest of her look. Black sclerals, walking straight dead, staring forward, never once glancing at the crowd. No bag, no pockets in the outfit, nothing. On her white blouse, a yellowish stain, like she'd been sick and tried to wipe it off. She was clutching a wilted rose. Her nails were impossibly long, grayish black, and she had the same trail following her. I thought they must hang out in the same nasty basement together, too similar to be a coincidence. My son has this expensive cologne he's obsessed with, calls it niche, says I don't understand it, spends half his paycheck on it. Something like corpus fluid, you know those smells, saliva, something animal, something sour. She smelled like she'd climbed out of a flooded cellar, dug through a dumpster, and then soaked herself in that stuff. I couldn't just let her through. "You doing okay, miss?" I stepped into her path. She stopped, looked directly into my eyes. Every hair on my body stood up. Every molecule in me screamed, "Run!" But I've been doing this job a long time. I'm in charge here, so I held it together. She smiled, but only with her lips, like she was wearing a retainer or something. She didn't answer, just stood there, staring, smiling. Marcus, the transit cop on my shift, came over immediately. "Miss? Officer Marcus, Transit Police. Are you all right? Do you know where you are?" God, I was grateful when Marcus stepped in. She kept staring, but now at him. Dirty blonde hair, clearly hadn't seen shampoo in weeks. The smell she was wrapped in killed my appetite for the rest of the day. And those bumps on her pale skin, I thought it was piercing at first because they were perfectly round and identical in size. Not pimples, bumps just under the skin. Marcus ran her ID. Card was worn down to almost nothing, stained, yellowed. He held it with 2 fingers, entered the data. His face twitched. "Seems to be in order, miss. Sorry for the inconvenience. Have a good day." She took the card back, tucked it into her dirty skirt pocket, and walked to the escalator with a steady, deliberate stride. I was shaking. Technically, nothing bad had happened, but when she stopped at the escalator and turned back, she looked right at me and smiled. Wide. Those weren't braces. Those weren't retainers. Rows of teeth, sharp, uneven, like a shark, like broken rocks. I thought I'd lost my mind, but Marcus had gone completely white. He said the ID was clean, legitimate, but he'd felt exactly what I felt. That overwhelming, unnatural urge to just let her go, to not look too hard. The cameras showed nothing unusual. She rode the train packed like a sardine can in rush hour. Nobody noticed her. Nobody looked twice. Except me and Marcus. Neither of us wanted to talk about it after. And the next day, Marcus didn't come in, and never did again. Then it got worse. More of them, day after day, then in groups. I started calling them the basement people because of the pallor and the smell. They always moved with purpose, always carrying something strange or keeping their hands deep in their pockets. Male, female, didn't matter. All had those long nails, those black eyes, that skin, and that feeling. Run, run, get out. I flagged them every time, stopped a few. A guy in a heavy winter parka in April, a girl dressed as a food delivery courier, no thermal bag, but carrying a small metal lunchbox. Inside the lunchbox, a raw chicken leg. The other one had a newspaper, a vintage original from a year when I was still getting smacked by my mom for not eating my spinach. The other guys on my shift thought I was losing it. Relax, man, it's just a trend. Lots of freaks out here. I took sick leave, called my kids. They said they'd swing by to check up on me. Said maybe I needed rest, a doctor. Then my former coworker texted me. We barely knew each other, but he'd somehow gotten my number. He'd seen them too. He'd quit. Said something inside him was screaming to get out of the city. He said something about prophetic dreams, about his grandmother being a psychic, about these things feeding of the energy of big cities and spreading faster than COVID. I was exhausted. Maybe we were both crazy. But I went to a psychiatrist anyway. And on the way there, I counted 20 of the basement people on one street. and I accidentally locked eyes with one. He stopped, raised one clawed finger to his lips, shh, and grinned with that same jagged maw. Then I saw what he was holding. I ran. Made it to the doctor's office. He prescribed something for anxiety, said at least I wasn't hallucinating because he saw them too, the strange kids with the strange fashion. Right, great, at least I know going to the cops is pointless. My instincts are screaming, leave, now. I've called everyone I know. Some of them listened, promised to at least go upstate for the weekend. My kids said they'd come see me. We're not that close, but they're my kids. If they don't show up, I don't even want to think about that. My bags are packed. I'm catching the first bus to my cabin in the country, and I'm begging you to do the same. Or, if you still think I'm just a paranoid old man, at least look at the people around you.